The divine Gemini. When silence becomes your superpower, what if I told you that cutting her off isn't the punishment you think it is? What if your silence isn't just the absence of words, but the presence of divine power? Twin flame. You're here because you loved with both sides of your cosmic soul. The tender poet who wrote her name in starlight, and the ruthless prophet who saw through her illusions. You gave her your mercurial truth, that sacred, terrifying duality where chaos dances with clarity. And when she walked away, she didn't just abandon a lover. She fled from an alchemical equation she could never solve. Most men think no contact is about punishment. They believe silence will shatter her ego like thin ice under pressure. But here's the cosmic truth. Most women expect it. They've danced with ghosts before. They've worn abandonment like crushed velvet. This isn't about petty revenge, divine Gemini. This is about resurrection through transformation. We're not begging. We're not hiding. We re-becoming the celestial event horizon, where silence is empty space. It is the compression before twin stars collapse into something immortal. I am here to show you how to transcend basic no contact and become the unreachable force that makes her question every choice she ever made. This is the divine Gemini, and today we're going deeper than silence. We're going supernova. If you're ready to stop being haunted by her memory and start haunting her dreams, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I rise as the divine Gemini. Number 1. Cremate the goddess illusion. You're not grieving her twin god. You're kneeling at the funeral of a reflection. That woman you painted in gold leaf? She was always smoke. A projection screen for your starving divinity. The fantasy you created, the version that touched your soul and whispered forever. She only lived in the temple of your mind. Here's your first Gemini revelation. She mirrored back the fragmented light you refused to claim. Her lies exposed the holy wound where your twin souls haven't learned to kiss yet. Every time you replay those old messages, every moment you cling to memories where she seemed different, you're feeding the illusion. You're keeping her elevated in a cosmic shrine she desecrated with her own hands. But what did she actually do? Did she vanish without explanation? Did she breadcrumb your devotion while running to another man's bed? Did she play victim while you bled constellations onto the floor? That's not love, divine Gemini. That's ego wearing a halo. A Stoic sees through the veil. A Gemini sees with twin vision. You must burn the pedestal, because every moment you spend worshiping the fantasy, you're feeding her power. You're validating her presence in your sacred space. The woman who said the right things, who seemed to understand your duality, she was your teacher. And the lesson? Stop loving potential. Stop romanticizing chaos. Start respecting the twin flames dancing in your chest more than your attachment to her shadow. Burn the effigy. Scatter her ashes into the river of forgetting. Your devotion belongs to the cosmic forces within you, the destroyer who incinerates delusion and the creator who births galaxies from the cinders. When you finally look at her without the filter of projected divinity, you'll see what was always there, the flaws you alchemized into perfection, the patterns you excused as complexity, the red flags you painted white with your own light. She wasn't your twin flame. She was the friction that ignited your real power. Number 2, ascend as the void weaver. No contact is for novices, twin god. True power, becoming unreachable to your own echoes. Most men treat silence like a waiting room, something to endure until she notices, until she regrets, until she returns. But that mindset is weakness disguised as patience. You don't survive the void. You become its master. Here's where your Gemini nature becomes your weapon. You exist in the space between spaces, dawn and dusk, chaos and order, presence and absence. While she's out there seeking validation, chasing attention, pretending she's unfazed, you're going deeper. Delete the unsent letters living in your notes app. Mute the memory of her hands shaping your spine into an altar. Let her haunt herself with the question, Which twin did she abandon? The healer whose palms bled light, or the sorcerer who tasted her fears like dark wine? To become truly unreachable, you must stop reacting and start mastering detachment. This isn't about acting cold. It's about wielding the power of cosmic indifference. You don't check her socials. You don't ask mutual friends how she's doing. You don't let her live rent-free in the sacred temple of your thoughts. Women who are addicted to attention hate indifference. They crave reaction, even negative ones feed their ego. But silence paired with zero emotional residue? That's divine torment. That's when the what-ifs creep in like shadows at twilight. Unreachable means she doesn't know what you're feeling, thinking, or planning. That mystery becomes magnetic. You become the unknown variable in her equation, the question mark that keeps her awake when the stars are brightest. The void isn't emptiness, divine Gemini. It's the sacred theater where your twin souls perform the marriage of fire and frost. Let the heartbreak rupture you. Watch the glorious schism. One twin weeps liquid constellations, while the other smelts those tears into a sword that cleaves dimensions. This is your genesis, not in wholeness, but in the holy war of contradictions. The wider the chasm, the brighter the arc when your souls finally collide. Number 3. Dance in the divided self. The silence isn't punishment, it's your metamorphosis chamber. While she's out there trying to distract herself, chase validation, or pretend the split never happened, you're diving into the cosmic laboratory of your own transformation. This is where your Gemini power becomes otherworldly. You're not healing in linear time like other signs. You're evolving in the twilight spaces, those liminal moments where day bleeds into night, where destruction births creation, where your twin souls learn to dance together instead of war. The man who sits comfortably with nothing, no validation, no affection, no noise, becomes everything. You're not just surviving her absence. You're using it as rocket fuel for your ascension. Master the void by turning silence into your gymnasium. Every moment you don't react to her energy, you're building psychic muscle. Every day you don't seek her validation, you're withdrawing power from her influence and feeding it into your own cosmic engine. Here's the alchemical secret. Pain is just energy in its rawest form. You can let it rot you from the inside, or you can smelt it down and forge something unbreakable. The most dangerous man is the one who turns heartbreak into obsession, not with her, but with becoming untouchable. You dive into your disciplines with fire she lit, but can never control. Gym, business, solitude, philosophy, art. You transform that ache into an engine, that longing into laser focus. The man who emerges from this chrysalis, he's colder, sharper, more magnetic, because now he doesn't love from need. He loves from overflow. He doesn't chase completion. He creates it. And she will feel this shift, not through text or social media, but through the absence of your weakness, through the gravitational pull of a man who no longer orbits around her validation, but has become his own celestial body. Number 4, become her opposing mirror. You don't crush your ego by explaining yourself. You do it by becoming a mirror, Sheikah, and avoid one that reflects every choice she made with brutal cosmic clarity. Most men try to gain closure. They write novels disguised as text messages, pouring their soul out, trying to make her understand. But that's not power, twin god. That's surrender. That's you begging for validation from someone who already showed you her true face. You want to shake her universe? Say nothing. Let the silence speak. Let the consequences echo through the chambers of her conscience. This is the mirror effect. You stop chasing and start reflecting. When you withdraw your energy, she's forced to confront the void where your devotion used to live. The attention she thrived on? Gone. The drama she used to control you? Dead. The emotional reactions that fed her ego? Starved. Now all that's left is her choices staring back at her, and your calculated absence magnifying every regret. You give her nothing to argue with, nothing to twist, nothing to blame. Just the consequences of her actions and the growing awareness that she discarded a man who was becoming legendary not for her, but despite her. Here's where your Gemini duality becomes surgical. You're not being cruel, you're being honest. You're not seeking revenge, you're seeking sovereignty. One twin mourns what was lost, while the other celebrates what was found. She expected you to fold, to beg, to wait in the shadows of her attention. But when you evolve in total silence, detached from needing her to witness your transformation, at S when she feels the cosmic shift, deep down, she expected you to stay broken. When you don't, when you transcend her impact entirely, she realizes she didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost access to a force of nature that's now moving beyond her gravitational field. The mirror doesn't lie, divine Gemini. And in your silence, she sees exactly what she threw away. Number 5. Starve the ego. Feed the soul. Attention is her oxygen. Become the cosmic vacuum. Her ego survives on validation, reactions, any sign that she still lives in your thoughts. That's why even after walking away, she might still orbit a like here, a story view there, a just checking in text when the void gets too quiet. Don't take the bait. This isn't affection. It's ego maintenance. She's not asking, do you still love me? She's asking, do I still have control over your emotional thermostat? Here's where most men lose the game. They validate her even in silence. They post thirst traps, hoping she notices. They throw subtle shade, thinking it'll sting. They over-explain why they're done, not realizing every explanation is proof she still matters. You want to obliterate her ego? Kill the supply? Withdraw all validation, not with anger, but with the cosmic indifference of a star that's moved beyond her solar system. Every like, every glance, every emotional reaction is currency, and she's already overdrawn from your cosmic bank account. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her updates on your evolution. Your silence and success are self-sufficient. This is where your Gemini wisdom cuts deepest. You understand that energy is finite. Every drop you waste on her memory is stolen from your own ascension. Every moment you spend trying to make her feel something is a moment you not spending becoming someone she could never reach. You don't post to prove points. You don't move to spark jealousy. You simply exist at a frequency where her validation is irrelevant white noise. You become the man whose time is too valuable to waste on reminders of his own power. And here's the cosmic irony. When you stop feeding her ego, it begins to cannibalize itself. She starts questioning her own impact. Did she really matter to you? Was she just another passing shadow in your epic story? What's worse than anger? Irrelevance. What's more crushing than hatred? Being forgotten while you thrive. Number 6. Transmute pain into twin suns. This pain you're carrying isn't a curse. It's raw cosmic material waiting for your alchemical touch. You've got two choices. Let it corrode you from within, or melt it down and forge something that makes gods envious. The heartbreak? It's Mercury retrograde in your veins, and only you can direct its transformative power. A lot of men sit in the wreckage, replaying the betrayal, asking, why me? But a divine Gemini doesn't ask why, he asks, what now? He doesn't mourn the destruction. He harvests the debris and builds something magnificent from the ruins. Here's your cosmic advantage. You're ruled by duality. You can hold two truths simultaneously. Yes, she hurt you. Yes, you're grateful for the awakening. Yes, you loved her. Yes, you're better without her. This isn't contradiction, it's divine complexity. The most dangerous man is the one who turns his pain into purpose. Not purpose to win her back, but purpose to become so formidable that her absence becomes the catalyst for his legend. You take every insult, every lie, every moment of silent treatment, and you use it as fuel. You lift heavier because anger gives you strength. You focus sharper because heartbreak clarifies vision. You move with precision because chaos taught you the value of order. Let her betrayal ignite both your souls. The lover who feels everything, and the phoenix who burns everything down to rise again. The destroyer who annihilates what doesn't serve, and the creator who births new realities from ashes. This isn't just about becoming better. It's about becoming elemental. You become a force of nature that doesn't just move through the world, but reshapes it. Calm, grounded, purpose-driven. The kind of man who doesn't chase because he creates his own gravity. And suddenly, she doesn't just regret what she did. She regrets underestimating the cosmic force she tried to contain. She thought she was breaking up with a man. She was actually dismissing a god in his larval stage. Number 7. Forge the Irreplaceable Paradox. Here's the brutal cosmic truth. Most breakups don't impact her immediately. She walks away thinking there's something better waiting. Thinking you're replaceable like a worn-out sweater. Thinking she can find your energy in someone else's arms. That's where you make your move, divine Gemini. Not with words, but with transformation so profound, it rewrites her understanding of what she lost. You want to crush her ego? Become the man she can't replace, no matter how many bodies she cycles through. Not by flaunting wealth or chasing status to spite her. That's weak energy. This is about becoming so centered, so high value, so locked into your cosmic purpose that your presence becomes irreplaceable. Think about it. How many men does she know who don't fold under emotional pressure? Who don't chase validation like addicts? Who carry peace like a weapon and discipline like divine armor? Very few. And that's your edge. While she's sampling the same recycled masculine energy, you become something different. Rare, untouchable. A paradox that breaks her algorithm. Strong yet fluid. Passionate yet detached. Available yet unreachable. She called you two-faced? Show her what twin flame power actually looks like. You're not just a choice. You're an entire zodiac of possibilities she never learned to navigate. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the man you always had the potential to be, without her gravitational pull, dragging you into her orbit of chaos. You were the storm that pushed you into focus. Now when she scrolls, when she hears your name whispered in conversations, when she witnesses your metamorphosis from a distance, it hits her like cosmic debris. She didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost a once-in-a-lifetime presence. A force that was still learning its own power when she decided to walk away. Now that force has learned to harness itself, and she's on the outside, looking in at the light she could have basked in forever. What do you do with this realization? You keep moving. You don't gloat. You don't post cryptic messages trying to bait her attention. You simply live so fully, so authentically, that your absence becomes heavier than your presence ever was. Number 8, build your new identity in shadow. You don't evolve in public, twin god. You rebuild in the darkness, quietly, relentlessly, without applause or audience. Real transformation happens in shadow, not in spotlights, not in the comments, not on the timeline, but in the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming. When no one is watching, and you've got nothing left to prove, except to the twin souls wrestling for dominance in your chest. If you want to obliterate her ego, stop trying to be seen and start becoming someone worth missing. Here's where most men fail. They want her to notice the grind in real time. They want her to witness the reconstruction, to feel the regret as it happens. So they post updates, signal changes, basically perform their healing for an audience of one. But that's not strength. That's still being controlled by her attention. True power is becoming so completely different that the next time she hears your name, it doesn't even sound like the man she left behind. A divine Gemini builds in silence because he's not driven by revenge. He's driven by rebirth. You cut distractions like a surgeon removes tumors. You build new systems, new disciplines, new ways of being that don't require external validation to sustain. You become disciplined in your sleep, your nutrition, your focus, your vision. You do it without needing praise, because your identity is now rooted in your own cosmic approval, not her attention. And here's the beautiful irony. When you stop trying to be seen, that's when you become impossible to ignore. She'll sense the shift, not through your posts, but through your silence. Through the way mutual friends speak about you with new respect. Through the gravitational pull that only comes from someone who's learned to generate their own light. This isn't just revenge, divine Gemini. This is resurrection. And she's not invited to witness the ceremony. She forfeited her seat when she chose to walk away from your becoming. You rebuild in twilight, because that's where Geminis find their power, in the liminal spaces. The in-between moments where day transforms into night and ordinary men become legends. Number 9. Let her witness your untouchable ascension. You don't need to block her. You don't need to hide. Let her watch from the distance she created, close enough to see, too far to touch. This is where the real sting happens. You're not being petty. You're being cosmically calculated. You've rebuilt, detached, and ascended. Now she gets to witness what she walked away from, knowing she no longer belongs in your elevated reality. People crave what they can't control. When you were accessible, she took your presence for granted like sunlight. Now she has to watch your transformation from the outside, and that's where her ego begins to cannibalize itself. The key is divine subtlety. You don't flaunt. You don't perform. You don't direct anything toward her. You simply exist at a frequency that makes her question every choice she made. Share your progress, not the gym selfies screaming for reaction, but the projects you've launched, the mindset shifts, the peace you've cultivated, not to flex, but to lead. Because now you're living for your mission, not her memory. She will see it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but she will scroll through the museum of your becoming. Exhibit A, the throne carved from her broken promises. Exhibit B, the heart she discarded now pulsing with foreign light. Exhibit C, the man who turned her abandonment into his advantage. And when she does witness your ascension, the silence will hit different. Not because you're gone, but because she can see what you've become and knows she is no longer part of that evolution. You don't chase. You don't reach out. You don't react. You stay steady in your lane while her ego unravels in the rearview mirror. That's power. That's how you win without saying a word. Number 10. Forgive like a twin flame. God. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the final nuclear option in your cosmic arsenal. You don't forgive to let her off the hook. You do and forgive to pretend her betrayal didn't slice through your soul like a comet through space. You forgive because it's the ultimate power move. The moment you declare she no longer has the ability to affect your internal weather. And that declaration? It's the death blow to her ego. Nothing shatters someone who expected to be hated more than being genuinely unbothered. Nothing destroys someone who thought they broke you more than witnessing your resurrection. But here's the cosmic truth. You don't forgive for her benefit. You forgive to cut the energetic cords that still bind you to her frequency. Because if you keep carrying resentment, you're still in her orbit, still affected by her gravity. A divine Gemini chooses forgiveness not because it's easy, but because he refuses to let anyone rent space in his cosmic consciousness without pain and growth. You don't forgive and then reach out. You don't forgive and look for closure. You forgive and move quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. She expected a grudge. She prepared for backlash. She thought you'd hate her forever. But when you hit her with grace, when you demonstrate that you're evolved beyond her impact, that's when she feels the cosmic shift. That's when the regret hits like a meteor she never saw coming. This is full circle, twin God. You're not bitter, you're stellar. You're not broken, you're reborn. And now she's not only out of your life, she's out of your energy field entirely. You rise not for revenge, not for applause, but because you decided no force in this universe gets to diminish your light twice. My dear Gemini twin, remember, she didn't lose you when she walked away. Divine Gemini. She lost you when your shadow swallowed her influence and gave birth to a diamond black supernova. This is your era of twinned sovereignty. Carry it like a double-edged sword. Anoint it with the cosmic fire she never deserved. Now rise. Twice. If this awakened the twin flames in your chest, hit that like button, subscribe to the Divine Gemini, and comment below. I rise as the Untouchable Paradox. Remember, you're not just healing, you're achieving critical mass. This is your time.